Crypto products are unregulated and could be highly volatile. Please be aware of the risks before investing.
राज, बाबूजी के आशीर्वाद से हमने अपनी नई शुरुआत तो कर ली, पर अपना फ्यूचर प्लान कैसे करें?
बड़े बड़े शहरों में ऐसी छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती हैं।
Looking for perfect start? Get a Bitcoin today. Download the Unocoin app.
जब मैं तेरी उम्र का था ना, तो एक सक्सेसफुल करियर, लॉन्ग टर्म प्लानिंग सब रेडी करके रख चुका था। और एक इन महाराज को देखो, पूरा दिन फोन में लगा रहेगा।
दैट प्लानिंग तो मैंने भी कर रखी है, Unocoin के साथ।
नए जमाने के साथ नई चीजें आजमाएं। Looking for Bitcoin? Download the Unocoin app.
We really need to work hard. This wasn't a good quarter. Tell me, are you happy with this?
Yes! Unocoin.
Want to earn Bitcoin? Just grab your phone and shake it. Download the Unocoin app.
Bitcoin.
Get a systematic buying plan from the Unocoin app to get your Bitcoin today. Download the Unocoin app.
हेलो एंड वेलकम डियर Unocoiners। एक बार फिर से स्वागत है आप सबका हमारे वीकली लाइव एएमए में, जहां पे हम डिस्कस करते हैं ताज़ा खबरें एंड ताज़ा चीज़ें जो हो रही हैं क्रिप्टो की इंडस्ट्री में। इस हफ्ते हमने एक बहुत ही खास न्यूज़ सुनी है। एक्चुअली पिछले हफ्ते टुवर्ड्स द एंड वीकेंड पे ये खबर आई कि ETF इथीरियम का अप्रूव कर दिया गया है। अब इससे जुड़े आपके जितने भी सवाल हैं आज हम उसके बारे में डिस्कस करने वाले हैं एंड विल बी आंसरिंग ऑल योर क्वेश्चंस। एंड फॉर दिस वी हैव द सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट हियर, मिस्टर सात्विक विश्वनाथ, द CEO and the co-founder of Unocoin. Hi Sathvik, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Shampoo. How are you doing?
I am great too, and exciting news. There were so many anticipations about Ether ETF approval, and then finally it came through. There was supposed to be a lot of buzz in the market, which I don't see at the point. But again, the price action is pretty much visible. So, what is your thought process like with this entire ETF going through? Is it similar to Bitcoin? Is it something different? How much are you in a favor, or say, what is your thought on this?
Yeah, I think when we got the ETF for Bitcoin, right? So that was much more of if it happens, when it happens, how it happens kind of thing. So once we have the first one, getting the second one actually is easier. In fact, the ETF for Bitcoin, the first application the first application was launched in the year 2013 or 14.
Yes.
So it almost took like 10 years. And but on the other side, Ethereum, it was introduced to the world itself. It was on 16, 17, right? So that's when it started becoming like the word of the mouth slowly, one step at a time, right? So, and between the time of Bitcoin ETF being approved and Ethereum ETF being approved, we just have like few months, right? So I think it's like 4 months of difference. And having the Ethereum ETF approved, I think is a significant step as well, because a lot of things that Bitcoin alone cannot do, Ethereum is capable of doing. I am less worried about whether other coins will get approved or not now, if it ever comes to ETF, because more or less the Bitcoin plus ETH, it covers the ground of everything that should everything that matters significantly today, right? So whether some kind of NFT based coins, whether the ETF comes for it or not, to what extent it is important today, I don't know. And not yet. Probably it's not. We are not there yet to ask for um, ETFs for most of anything else, right? So which should be the next one? We obviously cannot ask ETF for stable coins, right? So Bitcoin and Ethereum were the two obvious ones, and more or less, it's in the history now. It's like done. Yeah.
Interesting, Jody. Here in the comment section, we have Dibya Jyoti Ray. She's saying waiting to start. So we've already started, Dibya Jyoti. आपके जो भी सवाल हैं, please feel free to ask, and we'll be very happy to answer. Now, Sathvik, just to go back to the time where ETF, the word wasn't very much in discussion, and we did not know what it meant, because I believe there's still a lot of people out there who might not know what exchange traded funds actually are. So if we could, just understand it briefly, what is ETF?
So ETF, electronically traded fund. Okay. So this is like whenever there are, either it could be commodities or it could be mutual funds, or it could be basket of equities or basket of commodities, etc. Uh, so the regulator, whoever is handling the securities part in that particular country, can come up with approvals, whoever to the companies, whoever is proposing this. Okay, so once it is approved and all the conditions are met, then it will also get listed like any other stock on the stock market, and people will be able to buy it and sell it. And here, when we are talking about Bitcoin ETF or Ethereum ETF, those particular units are directly linked to the Bitcoin or Ether itself, which means the price variation that we see in these crypto assets will more or less follow on the stock market as well. So these ETFs are not approved in India, and I don't think even we have any applications for it yet. But as we speak, we're speaking about US based approvals only. Yeah.
But Satvik, isn't it true that Indians can also invest in it?
It is true. It's come to something like LRS scheme, so where individuals have the ability to invest up to $250,000 per year. But the bigger challenges for that again is the TDS that was reduced very newly. So if it is more than 7 lakh rupees of investment that you are doing per year, then there is up to 20% TDS, right? So people have to plan that a little bit more accordingly, right? So it's like quite a bit of money to get locked if you are trying to invest a lot of it into it. Or else, yes, there are multiple startups and businesses which are giving exposure of US based stocks for Indians, and people can take advantage of it and they can invest as well. Yes.
Interesting, interesting. So, as you mentioned TDS, Satvik, we know that there are very hefty taxes with the crypto thing involved in India. Say some person has to, interact with ETFs, an Indian has to interact with ETFs. What are the tax implication like?
We don't have ETF in India yet. Okay, so if it is happening, if one is utilizing some kind of service to buy and sell ETF in international exchanges like US based ones, then I think it will pretty much follow whatever are the normal security based taxation laws that exist here. Maybe some long term and short term capital gains as well, and whatever are the slabs that exist for equity investments, it'll just go through the same itself, I think. But if one is doing that, like let's say for ETF, I think in India we have for gold and few other ones, right? So if one is, and also for a lot of equity, they have it where the baskets of equity, similar to like mutual funds. But for them, I don't think there is such kind of 20% TDS or anything like that, right? So, but we don't have Bitcoin and Ether here yet as well. So if one is diversifying their portfolio, and if they're bothered about whether they can handle the crypto themselves, or if they are not comfortable utilizing the cryptocurrency exchange services, and they because it is not fully regulated yet, and if they are looking at, okay, if it's better if it is like let's say SEBI controlled or SEC controlled in US, so someone have that kind of preference. Or sometimes it's also true with the compliance of compliance burden or compliance risks that corporates or some other high net worth individuals are about to take. And if they say that, okay, I don't want to get into the crypto right now, but I'm happy to get the exposure of it through an ETF, and yes, then they can pick up the ETF on US markets as well. And of course, whatever the gains are there, it is profitable. And the good thing is you can offset the losses. There is nothing like for every single trade you have to pay TDS. So whenever you are sending money into this kind of US based whichever demat kind of account, yes, then there is TDS. But again, when you are doing the trading in US, then there is no specific TDS on trade by trade basis. So which in fact in India we have it for crypto, right? So it's depending upon the whether they are trying to hold it for the long term or short term, and if they're comfortable getting the ETF in international market, or if they are more comfortable with the cryptocurrency exchange within India and they want to do self custody. So these are the questions that they will have to answer before deciding like which path they want to take. Actually, there are only two paths. One is either go to Indian exchanges and buy it and withdraw it and keep it, or else go to US market and buy it as an ETF, right? So even if you use international exchanges in crypto, you still have to start from fiat in one or the other way, which is Indian rupees, right? So that's what it looks like to me.
Interesting, which means it's comparatively lot easier to interact with them tax wise as compared to the real crypto, real ETF, sorry, real Ether. Here we have a question in the comment section by Shivam P, who's asking, what are your thoughts on Grayscale selling Ether once S1 is approved? I don't know, S1 is approved, I'm not sure. Seem like BTC ETF, as people will move to other offerings like Fidelity and BlackRock.
So this is to be anticipated for sure, right? So Grayscale, they had their own like the fund where they accepted and money and got some ETH and BTC. I think they also have it for Solana and few other ones now. ETC also they have it. So as we can expect, if the same features are given by other bigger fund managers, fund management companies like Fidelity and BlackRock, so some will move there, right? So they would have had the investment in the Grayscale just because it is not supported by other fund wealth management companies like Fidelity and BlackRock yet. So now once everyone have it, then there is definitely will be sell off on one side, and there will be to some extent buy from the other side also. So if we are talking about the market movements and such, it's not super important, super risky, I guess. So there will be some sell off, and definitely in about a month and a half of time, there will be, I mean, after the approval is done, there will definitely be, on an average, there will be more buy than sell. Anyway, and in all likelihood, it's probably the Grayscale is the only one selling significantly. So it's whatever happened with BTC, same thing to be anticipated with ETH as well. So if you have to draw any kind of conclusion, you should just not do anything for 6 weeks at least after the ETF gets listed. It's not yet listed now. It's kind of, you can call it as conditional approval. They have different terms that they use of like what they're trying to do there. It's not like 100% approved, and tomorrow Ethereum ETF can be listed on stock exchange. There are still some conditions to be met to eventually like get whatever it is, but in principle, yeah, it has moved in a very positive direction. It's kind of approved.
Okay, I guess Shivam has a follow-up comment. They hold 3 million, so first few weeks it will be higher than the buy.
No, it's also depends upon how many of them want to sell, right?
True.
So let's see. At the end, the way Grayscale works is they actually should be holding the real coin. I mean, real Bitcoin, the real Ether anyway. So there is no threat for that instantly, right? So there may be initially, yes, it could be, because too many people, probably the very big investors, would try to liquidate it and take the money out. But eventually, by the end of 6 weeks, we will have some kind of clarity on overall how much Ethereum was bought through this kind of ETF. So as of now, for example, when it comes to Bitcoin, right? So now we have already achieved more than 1 million Bitcoin in ETF being secured by different investors in US and abroad. So which is already like 5% of the total available supply, more than 5% of available supply. Right. So to approach to get this particular number, yes, it has taken almost like 4 months or so. So it's not something we can see for first 1 week market and have any kind of conclusion. There's too many things, too many moving parts here to have any kind of conclusion. But anyway, this is giving exposure to people who did not have exposure for. There could be more sell off as well, but they will eventually be buying as well. So it'll add up. Yeah.
True. Commission they have is way higher, so people will move. Shivam says.
Yeah, I mean, now we're talking about the commission to hold that wealth, right? So per year and such. I mean, people will compare. People will compare and obviously opt for something which is more lucrative for them. Yeah.
Okay, okay. We also have Global Digital Baba saying my first exchange. I hope you had amazing experience, Global Digital Baba, because Unocoin is literally the first exchange of India, and a lot of people do say that. So it's a great thing. We are happy that you are still here with us, and hope you're enjoying. Shivam has one more comment saying not 1 million BTC, will call it one Nakamoto.
Yeah, it's because Satoshi Nakamoto has 1 million Bitcoin in his wallet,
Oh,
is
yes.
what we all believe. So yeah, one Nakamoto. Good.
No, interesting, very interesting. But I just like how BTC preceded this trend, and it literally overtook the entire Twitter. And I don't see much of that wave with Ethereum, but still we see a good amount of price action. In the case of BTC, we did see a lot of wave online, but the price action was quite the opposite after the ETF approval. So, Sathvik, how do we understand the market trends in such scenarios?
Uh, yeah, definitely we saw some price movement. There was a day where the price of Ether went up by 15%, maybe up to 18%. And on the other side, to when approval of ETH kind of to some extent was already priced in before that as well, and now that it is like reassured, and it went up a little bit as well. Uh, and I think that in the next, let's say if Solana or something gets ETF approved, maybe in another 3 months, 6 months, there'll be even less excitement about it, I guess. Uh, so winning the first time is like important, and then now you know the formula how to make it work. you will just make it work, and where it is available, it's available. And also for people, Bitcoin, they were considering that to be like a very prominent asset class, right? But they're not considering Ether yet. Ether is much more speculative to people. um, there are like way too many people who think that, okay, I want my Bitcoin to last generations, but that is not so with Ether yet.
True.
Okay, so yeah, all of that combined, I think we don't have that excitement yet. But there's also a good chance that when the actual ETF gets listed, like goes live, maybe in a week or two, or like whatever it takes, um, that then actually there could be like quite some excitement again. So right now we only have seen some price action. As far as I'm concerned, I believe that the prices for ETF is already significantly factored in. So when the actual ETF launch date, there could be some hype, but we are expecting some correction just after that, before again the market forces combine and more purchasing happens, and the price again starts going up, I guess. So it's not, if our short term traders, it's not good to hold Ether just after immediate you know ETF being listed. We definitely will see some kind of negative price movement. I'm anticipating that.
Yeah, that's true. Here we have Dibya asking a question, very interesting question at that. She's asking, will Ethereum ever reach near BTC in valuation?
Wow. Uh, I definitely cannot say no. I would have said no, at least not in the near term, for a lot of other coins, but Ether might have that potential, right? So the way it has grown within the last it's been 8 years since it is introduced, right? As compared to Bitcoin, which is already 15, 16 years old, so it's like half the age. So it has done wonders, for sure. Um, so there is some possibility, and it also depends upon uh, whether Bitcoin, which is more seen as an asset, and Ether, which is more seen as an utility, right? So which will eventually the world want to win, or world want to make it win, right? So uh, but if you are talking about whether this valuation, if it ever reaches, I think it could be, but definitely not at the present valuation. Probably, like, let's say when Bitcoin reaches some 200K or something like that. So this eventually like catch up to something. So it's not like Bitcoin price is falling down and Ether price is going up. That's unlikely to happen. Like one going down, one going up. So they both will travel in very similar direction most of time. Um, but BTC has to really go by another close to about 15x, um, to catch up with Bitcoin. And on the other side, it's also important to see the available tokens in circulation. So for BTC, we're talking about 19 million and odd, as compared to Ether, which could be about 120 million or something like that. So it's like 6 times of difference already. So we have to wait and watch. There is a possibility. I mean, if you say, can Dogecoin ever bypass BTC valuation, I would laugh at it. But for Ethereum, I cannot. There is some possibility. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if Ethereum happens to say someday reach the price valuation of BTC, BTC right now is dominant in the cryptocurrency market, as we all know. I mean, I'm not sure what the current market cap is like at this point, but if 120 million is in circulation, imagine the multiples. Ethereum would be the largest cryptocurrency, the most expensive cryptocurrency in the system. I think that's gonna take time, might happen, and it's just very. And I think in crypto, it's very interesting how anything is possible, right, Sathvik? We just keep talking about it, and the second day it just happens. So it's beautiful in its own way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Here we have Saurabh asking another question: is Ethereum ETF being more volume ERC20 tokens in long run, or only Ethereum will boom? Oh, very, very relevant question.
I think only the Ether. It's more related only to Ether. Um, but also, if Ether becomes extremely costly, um, and too many ERC token get on it, then also we will lose more Ether for fees, making it less effective. I don't think there is significant price variation among ERC20 tokens. Uh, so it probably will be more Ether. But what on the other side, what could also happen is a lot of new ICOs, IEOs that happen, they actually price it in Ether sometimes, not just in USDT. So when that happens, again, like private ICOs and such, uh, and price goes up, so there is some, it's a good chance that these companies, whichever are trying to raise money through ICOs, will be able to raise little higher and such. So there could be some buzz, much more buzz around ESG tokens, but I don't anticipate too much of price action because Ether ETF being approved. I don't think so.
Mhm. True. Okay. There we have another question from, actually not a question. Shivam is saying, one thing I love about Unocoin is that you guys didn't run away like other exchanges in the time of who scammed people. Later I applied for mobile developer opening. Unfortunately, I didn't hear back. Sorry to know that, Shivam. I think whenever we have an opening, definitely you must be in the HR catalog already. So you'll be reached out to. But yeah, I mean,
Maybe he can send his, I don't know, so he can just send his resume or whatever to hr@unocoin.com. At least let's,
yeah, we'll have it in the file.
yeah, sure.
Okay, Shivam. So please do that. And yeah, Unocoin has been there for 10 years. So that goes without saying. It's the most reliable exchange there is. Next, okay, we have Ehsan here. Any chances of adding leverage trading to the Unocoin platform anytime soon?
We do have the plans for it. Yes, maybe we will see it in about like 4 to 5 months. So right now, people can actually use their Bitcoin and take loan on top of it, and look, like, that's the kind of they can leverage for time being. But here, I think the question is more about leverage trading, where it is like
It's futures, I believe.
market trading and futures and options trading. Yeah, we definitely do have plans. For sure, want to bring it for our customers. Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have Saurabh again. Is Unocoin, does Unocoin have any plan to open staking as an option?
Yeah, we are bringing that actually very soon, maybe in about a month or month and a half. So to start with, we'll be doing it for Ether only, but we will include whichever are native. We are little skeptical when it comes to utilizing I mean, making the third party the custody of these staked tokens or coins. So as long as we make sure that it will continue to be in our control, we only are taking those kinds of options, and we have identified a method, or like how we should be doing it for Ether. We'll be bringing it to our customers very soon. Yes.
Mhm. Okay, perfect. And I'm sure everybody's getting very excited about this staking and everything coming bull run. Obviously, these options are going to be very much needed, and people are going to explode, the platform with request, because definitely DeFi is the game now. Shivam here is saying, what's your most conservative target that Ethereum can reach? Like minimum, it should be XYZ. Okay, now Satvik, how would you answer that?
I just had a sip of water. Tough, too tough. Um, but if I were to take a very very wild guess, in next few years it should cross 10K. Is what I guess, right? So I mean, everyone continue to give predictions, but I see the possibility of that happening much more over a period of time, I think. So last time as well, the bull run only pushed it up to like 4,000, 4,500 kind of, maybe it crossed just 5,000. I forgot. Dollars, and it still is kind of hovering there. So whatever was the peak of bull run is kind of now the normal. And now there is a lot of good news about Ether as well around. So in a year or two, just hitting something like 10,000 probably is not an unlikelihood.
I think, first of all, guys, this is not a financial advice, so do your own research. I have to say that. But Satvik, depending on what you said, it's gonna take a long shot for Ethereum to match BTC's price action then, because what is being anticipated for the next few years is crazy high.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about BTC crossing, I mean, like ETH crossing BTC, we are talking about maybe like 20 years also. I don't even know. Right.
Hmm.
So if you say, can it be ever? Then obviously the answer has to be yes. I mean, like you say,
Yes.
anything can happen. Mm. But yeah, the number of people who will invest and hold it as an asset are much more higher. And see, if I have, let's say, if I have 100 rupees, and if I am investing into something that has more utility, and on the other side where it has asset, I'll actually allocate 90% of my money for asset, and maybe 10 is enough for utility. So it's generally the way people think. So it could be tough, but some possibility exists. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what the crypto world is about. And guys, just once again, this is not a financial advice. Do your own research. And if you need resources, there's Unocoin's YouTube channel, blog page, social media are going to get plenty of information there, but always do your own research. Okay. Next up, Satvik, with the Ethereum ETF approval, what do you think its overall impact is going to be like on the entire crypto market? Because we saw BTC, and BTC always drives the rest of the market with it. But when it comes to Ethereum, can we say the same?
This is an unknown factor right now, right? So there is a good chance that because Ether prices now go up, it will also, if it goes up, it could also push Bitcoin prices to go up as well. So eventually, will the entire market will be quite positive because of this move? I don't think so. It is just a new set of people who want to take exposure in this, and people who are serious about getting exposure to crypto have already done it through normal crypto exchanges, through OTC or some mechanism already, right? uh, so if you see, for example, Bitcoin, uh, how much price of about, we have the price at around $70,000 today, right? So what is the advantage, what is the price action we got, the positive price action we got because of Bitcoin ETF? To my knowledge, it could be about $8,000, maybe. Say about 10%, 10%, or maybe 10 to 12% is the appreciation we have because of this news, as of today. And this will actually keep on getting diluted over a period of time, right? So because now it's like a norm anymore. It's not the ETF in Bitcoin is special, right? So you can either do it that way or this way. It's just like another mechanism of obtaining it, just that too many people can get access to it. So there was some improvement in price action. So if you see that again, if you compare it to Ether, the to what extent will the price action for Ether would exist after the ETF gets listed? um, so it is like an exciting news. It could go up to like 10 to 15%, but it will eventually get settled at around uh, 10% or 15% of premium again, and having probably the correction in between, and again it getting on the higher side. I think so. ETF alone, can it send to something like $10,000? It's very unlikely. Very unlikely.
Hmm. I mean, it's ETF, and one thing that also comes to my mind with this ETF approval, and the companies now coming into launch ETFs, is that how is this going to impact the development of the entire Ethereum ecosystem? Is there any possibility of improvements or anything directly associated with ETFs?
Not significantly. I don't think so. Again, price action could bring in more news about this, and there could be, say, a percentage of extra set of developers who want to contribute to this ecosystem, and maybe more communities around it, etc. But the crypto community works very differently as compared to, say, equity based or commodity based communities, right? So and those will not so those they never meet, right? So it's like quite different. There's a lot of people who only do crypto, never think of anything in equity, and there's a lot of people who only do equity and never think of crypto. So community wise, I don't think the significant improvement will be there. They have been like all both both the classes have their own set of communities and which are like very very strong already. So there could be more projects on Ethereum blockchain. So that is like one thing that exists. And again, if you're telling more, I'm not saying okay now it is 100 will become 1,000. Now it is 100, it will become like 120. So a very measurable smaller percentage is what we're anticipating. Um, so yeah, all of that added again, it will all fuel back to the pricing of Ether. So all of that taken into account, maybe let's say if the actual listing of ETF for ETH happens in about a few weeks, probably by end of September or something, the total price action we could have got because of this event alone could contribute to something like 10, 15, 20%.
Interesting, very interesting. But Satvik, there's another thing in the market. We know, there have been a lot of new altcoins that came into the picture in order to be new BTC, but they could never be. That is a different story. When it comes to Ethereum, we already know multiple projects and blockchains being there in existence who are named as Ethereum killers. So even it's very close to what Shivam is stating right now. We have Aptos and Solana. They can take away some market share, but is there also, because there's always, I don't know, some sort of a possibility Solana is there, it's doing good, Cardano is doing good. At the same time, Aptos, yes, is another emerging protocol. So how do you think that is going to, do you think ETF is going to be shelved for Ethereum per se after some time? Is there a possibility?
See, for them as well, ETF could happen some or the other day. But keeping that aside, uh, whether we call it as Ethereum killer, but why Ethereum killer?
They want to be the
Because
new Ethereum of the market,
no,
improvised.
see, improvised. If you're talking about improvisation, even Ethereum has a lot of scope, right? So we have had so much of complete upgrades. It's literally like all other chains will work to bring out the best, and if it is really good, apply it here as well. And it is all smart contract based already, and it's definitely a possibility. And then we talk about number of transactions per second, like Solana can support much more, etc. And for Ether and also for Bitcoin, there are another layer of transactions which is already happening, which like layer 2, layer 3 transactions that they call, so which can also support thousands of transactions a minute or anything like that. So I see a lot of these chains also become valuable because of projects that is running on top of it, obviously. And those projects will see, okay, why to compete again on the same chain where like a lot of projects already exist? Let us try doing it on a different chain, so that there is at least there are uh, like hardcore fans and developers and everyone. So where getting attention is more easier. So it is like, okay, you have one country where there are a lot of startups crowded. Oh, then you think that okay, why to again do another startup which is similar here? Let's go to another country where startup culture is not really that significant. Go there and do it. So at least that country people will appreciate what you're doing as compared to competing. So it's kind of that, right? So when more and more happens, yes, that country will also become a little popular, and the pricing of those tokens. So all of that has happened. But I still don't see why you would call it as a killer yet. So, and
I
it is
think
like easy way of telling, okay, I am launching this ABC token and it will be an Ethereum killer. It just means it also has derived a lot of properties from Ethereum, and depending upon the further project trajectory of what it will do in the future, right? So it could be competing to Ether, right? So I would still not buy that killer narrative.
There are literally Dogecoin killers, Shiba Inu killers out there in the market. So
See, it's an easy way of saying something, right? So a lot of times, like when startups and companies are pitching, they say that okay, we are like Swiggy of delivery or something. It just means okay, it means there is an app, you go there, you do XYZ things, and then you pay money for it, and the things will work, kind of thing. So Ethereum killer, I would just understand it as saying it just means a lot of features what already exists in Ethereum is also in this, and it has eventually an ability to compete if it grows really, really big in what they do, right? So, how many Ethereum killers exist? Probably like a dozens of them today already. So, yeah, and a lot of them are mimicking the same similar characteristics of programmable blockchain, smart contracts, and such. Yeah.
right, I mean, the concept is very blurred, and I mean, it's an open market. Anything could be better than anything, any point of time. It's, but the killer tag, let's see, I mean, where it goes. It's funny how these words are used. But Sathvik, from the offline conversation around the Ethereum ETF, what, people in general have been discussing that I've come across, they're calling it tulip mania because a lot of people were not buying Ethereum when it was at 1800, 1500. Now they're buying Ethereum that the price is already shot up. So would you call it a tulip mania?
Definitely no, I don't think so. Uh, See, the tulip mania happened at a completely different era. I think in 1600, which is
Yes.
like 200, 300, 400 years ago.
Yes.
Okay, so uh, I mean, the amount of communication that people had and analysis that someone could do, analytics that someone will be able to derive, and debate over it. So now the world has come so close, and we have so many experts who are so easily accessible. So I don't think we will ever have another kind of tulip mania. That if it happens, it could get busted in matter of weeks.
Mhm.
Okay, we will not have it like 15 years of tulip mania. It's the else we are living in the wrong world, right? So you can compare for sure. I mean, like I said, how Ethereum killer, you can compare to saying that this is a possibility kind of thing for Lithuania. But what happened at that time was very, very different from what's happening right now. And a lot of people compare actually the fiat currency to be more like tulips as compared to the crypto, which is much more independent without any kind of central authority and goes in a very decentralized manner without any kind of censorship. So I don't think it's kind of the crypto itself is ending up like a scam by itself, like the
Well, true that. And then tulip mania is something that happened so many years ago, but I like how people still keep tagging that one particular scenario. And it's been what, like you mentioned, 400 years. It hasn't gotten old. So, I mean, it's just the way how people are looking at this thing. And I don't, even I personally don't feel that they can be associated in any manner. But Satvik, do you also believe that Ethereum can maybe someday be that Bitcoin ETF or the Ethereum ETF? Do you think they could one day become the mainstream mode of investing in cryptocurrencies? And would it be okay? Would it be a
I
nice?
mean, I would not say that it would not be okay. That's for sure. There is a possibility. There is a possibility. I mean, if this kind of ETX gets approved, now we only have it in US, but let's say in the top 20 countries where crypto is actually like thriving, if all of them have ETFs, if people would prefer to invest in that manner through ETF as compared to buying crypto directly, but it's not going to happen in the very short term for sure. So maybe at least 5 years from what we have right now. So will that be a can that be a main method for people to invest? See, one tricky thing is for Ether, right? So the main utility of Ether is it is to pay the gas fees for doing the transactions on Ethereum blockchain. Um, so it's again like, will people buy ETF for oil, for example, right? I definitely think they would. Will they hold the oil directly, like stock it themselves? I don't think so. Um, there is a possibility. I would not say no. Uh, but the present community is so strong, and it's like a network effect exists, and lot of us also talk about self custodying crypto and such. So all of that combined, it may not be in the short term, but long term, yes, it may take a significant part of people's investing, right? So right now it's like 5% of Bitcoin is in ETF. Can it ever become 30% or something like that, or 20% or something like that?
That would be scary. I mean, to contradict my own point here, that's the whole purpose of decentralization.
But you know, I'll tell you like I mean how it matters, right? So it comes to self custodying over a period of time. If you take a very like wide horizon of time, like decades together, lot of Bitcoin will be lost. It could get hacked and unusable, and all of those things will happen. So the number of Bitcoins in normal circulation, apart from being in ETF, that number will actually reduce over a period of time. But on the other side, whatever is getting into the equity things, because there is like company responsible for it who is listing it, and there's proper regulations for it, and there's a lot of people who lose Bitcoin because of some silly scams or hacks or anything like that. And if they want to invest in Bitcoin, they'll definitely consider ETF, because it's like equity and it is like secure. So there will be a shift of mindset, maybe next 10 years, 20 years, to some extent, where they see that ETF could be the safer way, just because they have difficulty in handling the crypto through crypto exchanges themselves. So there is more chances that a crypto exchange could go bust. There is more chances that a particular country could declare crypto to be like, okay, we don't want this for our country, and we're like outlawing it or anything like that. There could be regulator who are not friendly with that. So all of that, like all roads would lead to this kind of ETFs. So that could, and on the other side, there will also be some people who are now only comfortable with ETF, but after understanding that they want it for long term, they could just sell it off and buy real Bitcoin and hold it also. So, but which sided, leapfrogging would be more is the now the question we are trying to answer. That so there will be more people who would go to ETF, I think, over a period of time. It would appear safer, but on the other side, it just means it's like a particular company is custodying it and fully regulated. I, I mean, you can call it centralized to some extent, but this company which is giving ETFs cannot do anything stupid, cannot create rules around it, cannot create more Bitcoins with it. So centralization, yes, now we have the Reserve Bank of India, then they have like a lot of rights. It is, but when it comes to the Bitcoin ETF, like whichever companies are providing it, there is much more obligation than rights for them, right? So I would still can they run away with Bitcoin? Definitely no. Right. So can they print more Bitcoin? Definitely no. Can they do any kind of rules, regulations on top of it? I don't think so. They're just like representing that particular ETF on behalf of all the clients which are holding it. I would still not call it complete decentralization, even if it happens.
Hmm.
The
That's
rights will
that's a
be
good point.
customers.
That's a very interesting point. I never looked at it that way. I was always like, somebody's controlling, and of course, there's this going saying that goes by, which is not your key, not your keys, not your coins. So, I mean, these things have had such an impact that we don't look at certain things this way. Certainly, ETFs are going to be more interesting, and I hope that it is opening the ways to this industry, in a direction where people come and understand it and learn to use it for themselves. because that is the core purpose of it, and that's how they will understand, the importance of it. But again, like centralized exchanges also contributed majorly to mass adoption of cryptocurrencies. It's the institutions that are now contributing to the adoption on a much larger scale. So definitely much 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 more interesting, and let's see what happens, Satvik. And Satvik, from the perspective of an Indian, because we got gold ETF after some years, that after US launched it, do you think that India is going to ever launch a Bitcoin ETF and an Ethereum ETF or crypto ETFs, or is it never a possibility?
I think it's definitely a question of when and not if. I don't think so. Um, so it's also like for India, it's like very highly regulated country, right? So they want to see maybe for at least a couple of years of how this entire thing plays out in developed countries before we have any kind of before our regulator take any kind of. We still don't have the proper regulation itself here. And for ETF, there is no need of proper, I mean, exact regulator also, right? So right now we don't have the proper framework to do. In fact, if you actually like read a lot of things that's happening with SEC, we've only eventually read the what is the outcome, but there are a lot of rules that SEC has changed in their own regulation and frameworks to allow the Bitcoin ETF and now to allow the Ether ETF as well. So, to what extent are we comfortable doing it? So, we probably will be more waiting and watching a few more years, even to take any kind of like the first step moving. And we want to see all things that can go wrong. We want to know all things that can go wrong before saying, okay, what can go wrong here, what cannot go wrong here. And India is a very, like I said, very regulated country and also very reserved when it comes to it, right? So when it comes to recession as well, we actually don't see India getting affected as much as like how US could get affected, or a lot of, so because those are on the front line. So either to win something or to lose something, or to experiment something, as compared to us, where we always like, even though we are not the first in the line, we take every step much much more cautiously, I think. So it'll be pretty much same here as well. So maybe in 5 years there could be a possibility, I guess. So, but it should happen. I think it's, if not, we are actually like removing a proper asset class for the next generation. It's an access to a new asset class itself. So it should happen, I think. Yeah.
100%. I mean, politics is not really my forte, but if the government wishes to do some good, they better focus on these economic developments in the coming 5 years, depending whosoever, wins these election, whatever we hear on 4th of June. But yeah, that is something that has to be focused on, and that is a very potential area where the governments can focus particularly, especially, our governments on a more local level, the state governments and stuff. But, let's see how they take it through. Another interesting question, Satvik, that is coming to my mind. How is this ETF going to affect the underlying liquidity of the Ethereum market?
But because of the actually comes to the market as well, um, I think it will just balance out. So, for example, when it comes to Bitcoin Ether, I mean Bitcoin ETF, have the Bitcoin liquidity decreased in centralized exchanges? I don't think so, because the price movement anyway will bring in more of the locked up, or say whatever the cold storage or whatever is not in the market, not on the order books. So it will come to that, I guess. Um, so I mean, in the short term, if the price action does not happen at all, which is very very unlikely, yes, there will be a liquidity crunch, but price action will definitely happen anyway, which should bring in the locked ether back on the market, and again it get locked with the companies offering that ETF. So the liquidity, I mean, overall liquidity should not change. I don't think.
Satvik, I think I'm having trouble with your video. I even lost you in between. I don't know if it's my internet.
So for me, you're looking good, and I can hear
Yeah,
you.
now I can hear you. Now you're back. Okay. I guess it was my internet. Okay, interesting. I mean, definitely. So, what kind of, we know that already the bull run is in motion. People are calling it a mini bull run. It's the start of the bull run. There's so many terms being utilized. And, it's also anticipated that this is going to be the, most long lasting bull run of the history. So, say, given these circumstances with Ethereum and BTC ETFs coming along, how do you see the global cryptocurrency scenario growing?
Compare it to bull run, this is nothing. This is nothing. In bull run, we see like 3x, 4x kind of price actions in the past. If you're talking about this, maybe contributing to some 10, 20, or 15, 20%. Is not so significant, right? Uh, so what could have happened? Let's say I'm comparing the two scenarios, right? So let's say if there is no Ethereum ETF at all, or if there is Ether ETF, so the bull run will be a bull run. I don't think this is significantly contributing to it. It's just like a very, very, very small contribution of maybe few tenths of percentage as compared to, like, sometimes we have seen the last bull runs, etc. Right? So the price action is like so strong, it goes by 2x, 3x in a matter of few months itself. And I don't think we are there yet. People call it as the start of it, but we are in that start of it since January. So 5 months for that to actually start off, I don't think so. And every time the bull run, we have actually seen that happening in the last quarter of the year. Definitely not the second or third quarter. Third quarter will just a little bit of push, and fourth quarter it has happened significantly. I don't know whether it happens again. Same thing now. And if I also see the year by year, like how and like halving and all those things, giving some kind of clues. So 2025 was supposed to be the actual bull run. I don't know why we are seeing some action now. It is just that a bit for me to call it as a bull run. I think the Bitcoin price should not just touch whatever was the high last time, which was like 70K ish. It should have reached maybe at least 2x of that, right? So the last bull run, it was again like 4x. The before last one was again about, like, I think what, some 30x or something like that. So it's not that simple, I guess. So it is just like the norm now. I don't think it's part of bull run yet. I actually felt it's part of bull run in the months of let's say February, March ish, but then it kind of becomes stagnant,
Yes.
plus minus, right? So that's actually, for a lot of people, they feel it's bad news, but to me it's a good news. So that is now becoming the new norm itself. It need not be bull run for having Bitcoin to be 70K. Now it's the norm. So it's like a big thing. I would say, yeah.
I'm so happy I started doing SBB when it was at 16,000. Now it's already 70. So, care, I mean, this will always keep happening. Bull run and bear run are gonna come and go. But the bottom line is that how consistent we are with our research and how informed we are with the market. Hence, we bring these episodes to you every week. Make sure to attend next one as well next week. Actually, not next week, this week itself. We'll be talking about regulation this Thursday. So make sure to follow us on all of our social media channels to get updates on what we are doing and when. We'll see you again. Thank you so much, Sathvik, for your time. It was so interesting and insightful. We'll do another session really soon, guys.
Thank you.